All right, drawing class. I've had a couple of questions about some different things to draw. People are working on their own, and one of them was this spring. I took a picture of it. I hope it's the right kind of spring. You were talking about a steel spring, so that's what this is. It's a feather spring, metal, iron, I don't know. It's just a picture I found off the internet in order to show you guys how to do a coil like that, because you can't actually draw on top of marks and stuff. But you'll notice that there is a V shape going up and down, up and down, up and down. And so I'm going to show you this vertically, and then you can just, turn it sideways if you need to. But what we're going to do is I'm going to draw me some really light guidelines. Now, if you want to, you can use a ruler, whatever you need to do. And I'm going to draw these really light guidelines here to show you what we are, we're going to put our spring in between, because all of them end at the same place and all of them, start at the same place. They're not getting larger and larger kind of thing. So you want these lines to be as parallel as you can get them. And then you're just going to start with whichever direction your spring is going to go. So I'm going to draw two parallel lines like this. Then you can skip down, and you just want these lines to all be parallel, and you want the distance in between to be the same as well. So you're just drawing another set of parallel lines that are parallel to the first two. And you're going to continue on until you've drawn it as long as you have it. Now I'm going to take this point and this point, wherever those are, and I'm going to match it up to this point and this point. So this line would come through here and would, it kind of skips through this space, but it would do that. If you wanted to get a ruler and measure point to point, then you can do that as well. I'm going to, that was a little bit thick. There we go. And then you're going to do the same with this one. It goes from here to, if it were going through to this point. And then it's going through and coming through this point. Okay, so you have this ribbon type effect, right? So the coils are curved, and so you're going to make that curved shape on the end. Now, if this is a cut off end, like where the coil was cut off of the long piece of steel, you're going to have this ellipse here at the top, and it depends on which way you're looking at it, whether it's very pointed on the corners or whether it's very round. So it's turned towards you, it's very round. If it's turned away, it's very elliptical, in the same way that you would look at how round this is, how it now makes this elliptical shape, how it makes a really tight elliptical shape. And so you're going to continue on creating your drawing with these little curves like this. And then where this line comes in front of this one, you're just going to not let it go all the way to the end. And it is going to kind of curve at the end. And you're going to do it on each one. Like this one would curve up, this one goes down, this one goes down. And you don't need that extra. So you can see that it's starting to, kind of twist on itself. And remember at the very beginning of the year when we did our half tones, half tones, that's a light pencil rendering. You're going to go about halfway up and then just add a touch on the other side so that you have a highlight and your middle tones. Then you're going to come inside those middle tone values and put in your internal shadow, and then you're just going to turn it and do the exact same thing over here. Halfway up, you're going to have a little bit of a highlight on this, but this one is going to cast a shadow in here. So you're going to start creating a cast shadow in this space. Well, I went outside the lines. It's no big deal. You just erase it, right? And you're going to put in your internal shadow. Now you're going to blend this out real nice and smooth because it's metal after all. Remember, you want your metal to look really shiny. So, and you're going to just continue doing the exact same thing on each one of these little curves. And you're going to finish shading it. You can take your Tertullian and blend it, you know, however you want to do that. These lines on the outlines should be really, really light. And the cut end is going to be darker. So we're going to put a little bit of a point there. But just to give you an idea of how to do a coil, and I did put this picture in the reference part of your drawing class email. So if you wanted to try that, you can. All right, so for our actual full class drawing, we're going to be working on these fish. Now, I sent you this fish picture in the reference as well, and you can turn your book horizontal or vertical, and you know, whichever one you want to do. I'm just going to be drawing one. If you would like to do the full picture with both of the fish, then just feel free to do that. So we're going to start off with our shapes like we do every drawing. And we're just going to look at the body of the bottom fish, and he is very oval looking. He's also not going straight across or straight up and down. He's going at this angle. So if you wanted to pull that off, then you would know it's going along this angle. And so you can just come in and do your sideways marks like we've done in the past. I'm actually going to move him up a little bit. So I have plenty of room for that beautiful tail of his. And with this fish, we're going to, like if this were the dividing line, we're going to go half on top, half on bottom, and then this would be about where our oval would end, and it'd be the same on both sides. So say I wanted it this thick on this side, I'm going to come over to this side and make him just as thick there. But he's kind of really rounded, so I'm going to go a little farther than that. Oh, sorry, right-handed just works so much better to go to the right than to try to force it. So feel free to turn your books. You know, you hear me talk about that all the time in class. So let's get ourselves a nice rounded shape here. Draw multiple lines however you feel comfortable doing that, and we will have the oval shape. Now I turned my light on a little bit brighter because the sun's kind of gotten darker. So hopefully this is not going to cast too many shadows. I'll hold my pencil farther away so that my hands aren't casting all these shadows. But you're going to come off the top here and come around the bottom. Come off of the bottom and come around this way. And this is this little shape here. And notice it curves, but it's not as round as the original one that we drew. So it's just kind of an arc shape here. And now that we have the basic shape that everything else fits into, then we know where to put all of our pieces of our fish. So we're going to start with this back fin, and it goes back in this direction. And it has a little bit of a notch out right there. It's just kind of waving in the water. And it comes almost to the bottom of this line. So almost to the bottom. Look how big this fin needs to be. I know it looks a lot smaller, and it should be a little farther back than where I have it. So it's about halfway through the back of the fish. And then we're going to come in and put in this little dorsal bottom fin that's really close to this side as well, where this part starts, the body stops, and the tail begins on the fish. So we're going to just follow the direction and the lines that we see, and we're going to create, there's actually a little split in this tail, and it comes up into the original oval into the body of the fish, and it actually, excuse me, goes down. So it goes like that. This this fin turns and goes right into the tail. So the tail back fin curves down. So you're going to curve down, and then it comes somewhat to a point. It's rounded. And then it comes inside the other. It's like there's two parts of the tail, and one is moving on top of the other. So this particular side and this particular side almost looks like a set of wings, right? So we're going to come from the middle, and it comes down like this. And then this one comes down. It's a lot longer than the other one. Comes out and around. And this actually comes a little more around. So we're going to just make our little adjustments as you see it. If yours isn't exactly perfect, that's okay. That's just a second later. As that fish swims, his tail and everything is going to move around. So I'm going to lighten up this line here at the bottom and the line of the oval. And this is how much of the fish we have so far. This top part is almost as thick as the body, so I really need to bring mine out farther. So you look at yours and make your adjustments as well. Then on the bottom of the fish, there's another pair and another pair probably on each side, but we're only seeing, well, we know there's one on the other side because of that particular fish. But there's like a pair here and a pair here, a pair here. So we're going to figure out where those would go. And you can always tell, like the top of the fish here, if I were to divide the fish into 4 sections like this, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to darken it up a little bit. So I have 4 sections. This is a little bit back is going to be this one, and you know, quite a bit forward is where this one's going to start inside the body. This one's underneath the body. So we're going to come underneath the body. And it goes longer than this one. So it has to be in association. Remember, you're always associating each thing with something you've already drawn. And then this one is shorter. And it comes back at an angle. It actually just kind of attaches right in here. This is where it attaches to the body, and then this is extra part. So we're getting ourselves a good outline. Now I'm going to turn this a little bit, which means I need to turn my reference photo, and this I'm going to put in these 2 little pieces here first. Now I want you to see that this is the one in the front. Notice the shape of it. Well, I missed that a little bit. Notice the shape of it, and then this one is the one behind it. So it goes like that. And it may be that it is on the other side. being the same length, I wouldn't think that. I think they're both on the same side. So working from what we have, this is what we're going to, where we're going to put our, you know what, I am actually going to make my fish a little bit longer just because I think he's too rounded. So always make your changes and then go back and erase your lines. You've heard me say that a lot. And you're going to need to do that just because it is human nature to go back and put the exact same line in. So you want to make sure that you make your changes, then erase it, erase your lines. So we're going to start inside. I am going to draw the gill area. That is this area right here. I'm going to draw that in first, and then I'm just going to come a little bit down from there, and then it comes out, comes down, following that shape. Sorry. You're going to put these two little pieces in. There we go. So now we have these fins, fin, 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 tail. And now we're going to come over to his eye. And there is an outer ring to his eye. And it's a piece of skin that kind of comes forward. And then the eye is set back in there. And then there is a, just kind of a shadow of this protrusion from his face going around. So we're just going to draw the circle first, and that is right on the line. So if you still have your beginning line in there, you're going to put that circle in first. Here's that little indentation part. Then you're going to put in the pupil area, and so your eye looks like there's a black space, a colored space, which would be orange, and then the little wrinkle around the eye. And then that little wrinkle is really kind of all over. To let yourself know where the shines are on the eye, if you want to put a little funnel kind of thing on the top and the bottom like this, then you know whenever you shade, this is going to be the shadow sides here. You're going to leave these areas lighter, and you're going to fill in the eye, you know, very dark. All right, let's get our mouth. Now his little mouth comes out here, and then the bottom lip comes up to it. Hopefully you can see what I've drawn there. So I'm going to make the bottom lip just a hair smaller than the top lip, and where the top is, we're going to come down for our mouth. So this is the outline of our fish, and I want y'all to go and get this part drawn out, and you can erase any extra lines that you have that you don't need, and we will get back together and do all the shading and the shadowing of our fish. Thanks a lot.